Hello and welcome back to the Weekly Shonen Jump Review. Each week I read Weekly Shonen Jump and give my review of the chapters. As a reminder of my format, I will provide a brief summary of the series that I read, followed by some quick thoughts for each of the chapters, and then at the end of the video I will rank everything as if I am turning in the surveys. I don't cover all of the series in this review because I've already dropped some of the series, but for those that I do review, there will be spoilers, so you have been warned. So this week is an extra chapter for Kagurabachi. It had a bit more oomph to it than some of the other extras that you normally find, but I don't feel like this needs much of a grading or a review, really. It's not typical for the weekly series to do this. In fact, it almost never happens. Anyway, it's the abusive brother trying to get his memory back, and it was kind of funny. Won't be ranked for this week, though. Akane and the crew are back in Tokyo, and we catch a glimpse of Akane's God of Death depiction, and it is, well, in a word, terrifying. But that doesn't stop Akane from being in good spirits as she prepares for the Ishokai, and we learn that Maikeru has been helping from behind the scenes this whole time. The hype train is still building for this cruise, and they introduce everybody that's going to be on the big old boat, and honestly, it kind of feels like Marineford in that way, just sort of chucking a bunch of big important characters together all at once. Either way, this arc is going to be awesome. Buckle up, kids. Chrono Weaver is fading away and is trying to talk no jutsu Octobomb into being a good guy and making friends. In a really moving monologue, he talks about everything that Minerva gave him and thinks of memories as he's fading. It is then that Minerva uses a mirror to talk to him and begs for him to stay. Her wish is so strong that her unborn child activates magic to turn back time and make sure that he is okay, if only for a few seconds. I'm speechless. Just beyond amazing. Seeing that little not yet baby throw out the rewind, just fantastic. Shishiba and Osaragi's fight with the electricity man continues, and he is holding his own enough to land even some blows on the best pair in the game. They push him to overclock his abilities, and he tries to do a villain monologue, but Osaragi drops one of the coldest lines ever and kicks him dead in the face. It's great back and forth action, and I always enjoy bringing the power pair to the party, but guys, the art is getting a little distracting. I don't mean to keep harping on this, but I have to mention it when it makes the action harder to follow. And it does. Is it really bad? No. No, it's not really bad. The backgrounds are fantastic. It's the character art. And it's just, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's sloppier than it needs to be. I'm not going to be super harsh this week with rating this chapter, but I can't be as positive as I want to be. And trust me, I want to be. These past few chapters, I would have really liked. It's just, it's getting distracting. Like, I want the mangaka to take a break if they need to take a break. Because it kind of seems like they need to take a break. Because these past few chapters have been honestly being kind of carried by his background artists, and I don't think the mangakas do that much with the backgrounds anymore. Like, I think they do that, like the assistants take care of that. I think the mangakas doing, like, you know, the story obviously, but then the character art, and it's looking real sloppy. And look, I can't draw. I know I can't draw. I know what this series can be, and I want the series to live up to that potential. I don't think it's living up to that right now. So anyway, my 2 cents. Momochi and Miharu are headed to the casino to put their plan into action. She does the simultaneous swap, and the warlock drinks the drink right away. Meanwhile, another warlock joins Kego and Chami's group, and they do the same plan with this horned warlock, which is they have the Slump disguise himself as one of the other warlocks. Anyway, they rattle off some American-ish type jokes, which were kind of funny, but then go too far to being too friendly, and Slump gets captured by some telekinesis. Momochi goes to find Kanchi, and what do you know? It turns out that the manager was a warlock the whole time. I definitely didn't guess that right away. I do love that the Warlock indicator goop that this series uses was dropping on her head. That was just a really good touch. Anyway, she shanks Kanchi and shows a little horn, which is, I guess, her Warlock thing if the indicator wasn't enough. Predictably, the mission is failing its stealth, but it was going relatively well before then. We are at the top of the mountain. Look at the majesty of the world and rejoice. The heavens are shining their lights on Kyo and Ayame. Oh, it's finally happening, guys. Oh my god, it's finally happening. We have finally made it. It's the real deal. No fooling, no lie. We have made it. We did it. Kyo, we did it. We did it, Kyo. Oh, we did it. Oh, do I really need to say anything? I mean, yeah, we finally see Kyo and Ayame's part of the double date. He asks her out. He gets the girl. You're dang right he gets the girl. Number 1 chapter again. Honestly, absolute majesty. Squad 9 are kicking butt, causing Squad 7 to be on the back foot. Also, Suzume has joined together with Umineko, and she is now drunk, so I am sure hilarity will now ensue. We jump over to Yodaka in the Netherhold, and he runs into a prisoner there who looks like bad news, but they are gentlemanly bad news, and have some funny exchanges of politeness with Yodaka before agreeing to take him to the comms room, when they threaten that anyone that goes against the Uzun family will face his wrath. So yeah, definitely going to work out totally fine going forward. Yep. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be good. No problems. Another good chapter with fun gags, but a bit more of a setup chapter, I'll say. So this chapter is a lore dump of a chapter. Maru and Yuji spend it talking through the particulars of his plan, and I mean the particulars of the plan. They're going through it. They're step by step, point by point. I'm going to try to summarize to the best of my ability what the plan is, what they're doing, what's happening, what happened this chapter, what they talked about. Yeah, it's just what's going on. Maru and Yuji agreed that Maru would remove cursed energy from the Japanese and the Sumerians. He would then alter the color of souls of cursed spirits so that they would not resemble Kalians. Yuji would spend the rest of his extended life going around killing the remaining cursed spirits that appear based on the residual cursed energy that would just have to exist, essentially, because Yuji was basically saying that even though, you know, Jujutsu is a Japanese-specific thing that people all around the world, there are people all around the world that just kind of leak a small level of energy, and even though that energy is not significant enough to make lots of cursed spirits, over time you will still make cursed spirits. Anyway, at the same time, Dabura is removed from his fight with Maharaga using the black rope, but we don't see how, why, or when, or in what context. It just happens. Then Maru would use his curse technique, which again is a crazy technique, let me just say. And he shoots it off. All the rest of the cast appear, basically confirming, in my opinion, that they're all dead. At least it kind of seems that way. It doesn't seem like they're alive. It seems like this is a, Harry Potter thing with the resurrection stone, and they're all back to help him out as he's doing this, crazy sorcery. It was a little confusing. It was a little unclear, but given the fact that we know for a fact that one of them is at least on their deathbed, if not dead, so they wouldn't be able to stand there. I forget her name, but it's the one with cancer. So she can't be alive. Cross, that means that Cross is probably dead from the gunshot. You know, I don't think that was confirmed, but I don't think it was confirmed that he was alive either. And then Tsumugi must also be dead from his, like, you know, super slashy thing. I assume, maybe that's why the fight and, like, nothing was happening with that fight and they just kind of moved on because, you know, it was over. Anyway, confusing. They do the plan, spirits shoot up in the sky. This just felt like it was the conclusion of the series. I mean, it could be a short series, which would be... How would I feel about that? I think it would be... I'm okay with short series on principle. I'm okay with having a shorter run of a thing if you have a short story to tell. I haven't read Burn the Witch, which is the Bleach spinoff. I know it's a short little spinoff. So I can't claim to know whether it was good and whether that was the right thing to do. But if this series ends within an episode or two, chapter or two, what was the point? I mean, if that ends up being the case, my whole thing with this series is it kind of is like, why would this be done other than for, like, monetary reasons? Which, again, you know, the answer to all of your questions is money, of course. But this just would feel kind of weird to have this, like, short run of a thing where it kind of doesn't really tell the story that it wants to tell. Now, maybe it'll just wrap everything up in a bow at the end of the day, but you're like, you introduce, like, all these crazy concepts like, oh, there's aliens. Oh, they can use cursed energy. Oh, they have this completely different concept of what cursed energy is, how you use it, and, you know, how it interacts with their powers and stuff. Then one of their Gojo-like characters appears in your universe and literally, like, reverse engineers some of the most advanced Earth-based cursed energy concepts within one fight. And then you take this idea and then you just nope out of it and be like, oh, okay, now we're really done. Now it's, like, totally done. Like, I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not a JJK fan, and, like, if something like this had happened with a series that I actually did really like maybe I'd feel differently about it, but it just, I don't know, it feels kind of weird. It just feels strange. Anyway, going back to this chapter, it was a bit too much lore dumping for my tastes. Also, the way that things just happen in JJK with no context can be jarring, and it makes it a weird read to happen sometimes because you don't really know what's happening in people's heads or what's happening in real life and like when the timeline for things are happening. Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, come along for the ride and hopefully you understand what's going on, because maybe we do. Oh, look, the author is doing title page requests now. Fun. Plus, they have on-air names for the requesters. I love it. Adorable. Anyway, this week, Mizuo joins the offline party, and Mime immediately bails to get a drink. Or drinks for the party, not, like, alcohol. He's a minor. On the way, he runs into another listener who is basically an aged-up version of him. And they talk about comedy for a while before splitting ways once they get back to the party. Mizuo pouts a bit once Mime is back, but immediately throws out an adorable, satisfied face when Mime keeps doing one-liners with her with, you know, no stopping of the original thing. She knows how funny he is, even though no one else does, and that's cute, and she feels kind of possessive about that, which is also cute. Good stuff again this week. You know, solid. Someone hurts, fair. The gang are debriefing after the big fight. Gas Mask Lady is totally okay when another Demon Lord shows up. Man, no one can get a break in this series. Anyway, Shishido is riding a Megalodon because of course he would be. Why not? I mean, that, you know, makes sense to me. He lands just in time in the castle to see Bobo destroying Beelzebub and joins the fight. He struggles, but just off screen, who is waking up but Kiyoshi himself? The main character is back, baby! solid again. You know, we're increasing the the piercings per page again with Kiyoshi coming back. Okay, if she is as famous as this series is telling us that she is, and this is Himari that I'm talking about, if I remember correctly, they live in Japan, who have a noted, shall we say, interest in the appearances and relationships of their public figures. How in the world would she have expected that no one would take her photo, or she would not have her photo taken while they were doing this because she wasn't in disguise? You know, I think it should have been clearly obvious. I mean, really, how could she be surprised at all? Anyway, she throws a tantrum and her business manager person comes to hear her out. And now we have to pause here to talk about something that this business manager says during this conversation. She says that she left a high-earning career to work for Himari, but I am just going to take a second to say bullcrap to all of that. I don't know what sort of high-level law firm or consultancy that she walked away from, but she is a high-level business manager for a, let's be clear, extremely famous influencer. No, Himari is not making videos or anything like that, but she does have an extremely, if this series is to be believed, popular beauty and skincare line that, and she herself is popular enough to be put on billboards in major cities marketing her own line of products. Himari herself, yes, with her own money, not her parents' money, is able to afford to live in a full-on house in Tokyo, you know, because those real estate prices are notoriously low. No way is this PR manager not being compensated well. She works for a successful influencer entrepreneur. Girl, you're making bank. If you're not being paid enough, ask Himari for a raise or something. I mean, I honestly have no idea what you're talking about. If it's just about career prospects, then fine. But you're telling me you couldn't use the work that you're doing for Himari right now as some sort of personal portfolio to land you some next gig? I mean, you would have to be working in something that is not marketing related. And if you were working in something that wasn't marketing related, then okay, fine. But I mean, Himari kind of drops that she was an author, but like, one, you can still be an author in your off time. Like, maybe you couldn't be a full-time author, but you know, you could still write your book whenever you're not doing your work. Two, authors aren't really like a super high-paying job. Three, you don't have career prospects as an author. You could just be an author and always be an author if that's what you were. If you were working in something that wasn't related to marketing, then okay, maybe I can understand. But we've never been led to believe that she was like a lawyer or something. Like, that line just didn't make sense. I mean, it was like, it was to be used to kind of give her like a, hey, I'm here for you. Like, I sacrificed to be here with you. That would sort of hit more at home if Himari wasn't as popular as she is, but she's clearly really popular. I mean, she's really popular and she's got a lot of money. It didn't add up. Anyway, Kanai and her study school can wait. Iamori needs to go over to Himari's house right now to talk about this whole situation. There's a funny gag of her apologizing once he gets there, and she spends the whole night just throwing fastballs at Iamori. Just absolute heaters right down the middle of the plate. And the PR manager also comes in with her tacit support for whatever it's worth. What you gonna do, Iamori? Are you gonna be swayed and leave Kanai in the lurch? Anyway, I did have fun with this one. Well, so Egawa wraps up his fight with the punk kid who is really an adult. There is some minorly creative magic that is used during the fight. Even enough where it's kind of interesting. I do think that the art for the most part has really improved for this series. Some of the panels were quite good, but we still have the lack of expression problem across the board, which the artist is clearly trying to rectify, I think. I think there were some examples of, like, I'm sure their editor was coming in like, hey, just maybe draw a different face this time. Just not enough yet. Anyway, they decide to go back to see the Divine Magus, so I'm looking forward to whatever shenanigans they get into there. We see the backstory for the sign language user and how the old assassin brought him in and trained him in all of his ways. There may be some connection to Haiji, but either way, they fight each other seriously, and they even get rid of weights that they were carrying like Rock Lee. But Haiji is too good for that and uses the aggressive poking style to win the day. He also was able to stimulate this person's vocal cords, so maybe that they are able to talk now. Also, I'm saying they for all of this because I'm not sure what the gender of this person is yet. Maybe it will be definitively said soon, or maybe it already has and I've just forgotten. Anyway, this chapter was fine this week. Not brilliant or bad, just fine. Kinato is nowhere near able to keep up with Kaminagi's ability, but he uses his spidey senses to see what Kaminagi actually needs is a nice bath. And then a random kid shows up that needs saving, which they're able to do, and Kinato introduces the concept of having supports in a party. And saying that even though he can throw dodgeballs, if you really want to use him effectively, you have to use his support abilities to the fullest, which honestly is fair. Then he uses his magic on her, and she, feels like she is taking a bath, and we get to see that visually. Look, I know that early on in a series is a really nerve-wracking time, but this level of fan service is not needed, my friends. You have something good going for you so far. Don't be that worried. Just don't be that worried. You're doing fine. It's looking like a fine series so far. Either way, it was a good chapter this week. I'm glad that they just might shift the focus back in this series on him being a support and how his support abilities will help everybody around him, because honestly, that's just, in my opinion, a better way of going about things with this series, and there's just more interesting paths available to you as opposed to having the typical shonen protagonist route of having, big strong man do strong things. And keep up the good work. Stay away from too much fan service, okay? You'll need some Seitei magic before you know it if you keep this up. Shirokiba and the sidekick are going to the middle school to save the sidekick's brother. They show up and all of the aliens are dead, and the brother actually was a savior for Shirokiba when he was a little child boy. Then another alien shows up, a different one this time. The panel of his hands appearing was pretty creepy, so I gotta give it that. This alien is tough, though, because it cannot be suplexed, which is bad. Shirokiba is on the ropes and getting bitten when he tries to stab it in the eye. But that wasn't enough, so he headbutts the dang thing, and then it works. So let the fight continue. You know what? I am getting the vibe of this thing now, and I am digging it. This is just a big, stupid, occasionally scary wrestling match, and you just gotta get on the vibe train. And you know what? I'll get on. Let's go. Stupider the better. I want to see elbows. I want to see suplexes, RKOs. Bring on the metal chair. This series should be big. It should be loud, in your face, and not following any rules. If it does that, I am in. If it chickens out, I am out. Because it's silly. And you know what? I'm getting that now, and I'm here for it. And that is it for this week. Rankings are coming up above my head now. This was a pretty light week in the magazine. No One Piece, and with Kagurabachi also taking the week off, makes for a pretty interesting shake-up in the top of the rankings. I'm finally starting to get what Alien Headbutt is all about, and I am ready for it. Sometimes you just want to have a big, stupid fight to root for, and that's something that, I'm generally here for, and I think it's something that has kind of been missing from the magazine with, Magic and Muscles going away. That was just one of those things where it's like, I'm here for the big and stupid, and I don't think there's been enough in the magazine so far of having the big and stupid. So if Alien Headbutt can kind of go into that role, I think that's something I'm here for. Anyway, that is it for me. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope to see you all again in the next one.